House of Cards podcast, the show where we break down the art of creative real estate investing. Join us as we dive into the world of real estate with insider tips and tricks for making your investments go further. From buying with no money down to flipping properties for profit, we've got you covered. Plus, stay tuned for expert guest speakers who will share their knowledge and experience in this ever-changing market. So grab a seat and get ready to learn the secrets to success in real estate investing. And now, from Alaska to New York, your hosts, Chris James and Jesse Stanton.
All right, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Happy Saturday to you guys. Man, today has been a phenomenal day. It's been a fantastic week. I hope you guys are doing well yourself. We've got an amazing show for you guys today. We've got two of my very best BFFs are going to be coming on. Very excited. As you guys can see today, it is kind of just running things a little Han Solo from Alaska to all over the place today. We're still on the East Coast. And beyond. Hopefully soon we'll be streaming to the moon, and we should be tuning into Mars next year. So I'm pretty excited about that. We see Ken Wilson. Ken Wilson. I'm gonna have to get a portrait. You guys remember that scene on The Waterboy when what's his name? Coach Clan said I could. Coach Clan said I could. You guys remember that scene? Not that particular scene, but you remember the movie, The Waterboy, right? And Coach Clan, he comes over and he has dinner with Adam Sandler and his mom, and his mom gets upset and storms out, and because she doesn't want Bobby Boucher playing the foosball, and so she storms out and she's like, Bobby, you come up here so you let Mama comb your hair. I've been working on my Adam Sandler, if you guys can't tell. It's a terrible Adam Sandler, I know, but please humor me here for a second. You guys are a good audience. So she leaves out, and then Coach Klein, he pulls down his pants, and he's like, when I was your age, my mother told me not to get a tattoo of Roy Orbison. And then he pulls down his pants. He's got a tattoo of Roy Orbison right there on his ass. And he's like, well, Mama don't know. It won't hurt her. Ken Wilson, for me, is that guy. Ken Wilson is in here every single time we go live, and it's like, dude, like I'm gonna get a tattoo of Ken Wilson. Ken, I won't get a tattoo of your portrait on my ass. I'll put it somewhere, maybe on my neck or something, so like everybody, can see it. Like me everywhere. I'll take you everywhere I go with me, including church. Wouldn't that be great? So anyway, that's my thing here. That was the first thing I thought when I saw Ken Wilson. It's like, dude, every time I go live, like Ken Wilson is always the first person here. I love it. I mean, even when the intro is playing, Ken Wilson's already in the comments, dude. I freaking love you, bro. I love you. Thank you, guys. As you guys can see, it is just me running Han Solo today. We're gonna have fun. Chris James is out living the dream. He's out doing everything. He's living the life that I want to be living. And in our marriage, he's the guy that he gets to go out and have the fun and meet all the people and kissing hands and shaking babies. And I hold down the fort and clean the house and take care of the kids. So we complement each other in that way. But he is on his way down to Florida for a meetup with some of our other BFFs. Angel Miller is going to be there. A lot of people are going to be there. I mean, the list is probably shorter of people that are not going to be there. I wish I could go out there and hang out with everybody. For everybody who's going to Orlando, going to Florida, I hope you guys have a freaking awesome time. I'm really jelly. I hope that we're able to connect soon. Before we get into today, I've got a couple announcements that I want to. Oh, Ken says spot on. I think Ken's referring to. I hope you're referring to my my Adam Sandler impressions. I work on. My kids are a good audience for that, so I can practice it in the sanctity of my own home, and my kids are a good audience for that. They're very supportive in my terrible impressions. But appreciate you guys. Thank you guys. I've got a couple announcements before we jump in here. For those of you guys who don't know, Chris and I are putting on a challenge. Now, this isn't just any challenge. This is a challenge that I think is going to change the trajectory of a lot of people's businesses. This is something that I've never heard anybody talk about before. I've never heard anybody present before. And I'm really excited for this. This is a challenge that we're going to be putting on inside of our private group. So if you guys would love more information about it, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the challenge here for a second. When I reflect on when I got into real estate, I look back at some of the struggles that I went through, some of the hurdles that I went through. One of those being that I thought I had to wholesale first. And man, I will tell you guys what, let me know in the comments. Is there anybody that just loves to cold call all day? Is that like your thing? If so, let me know, because I haven't quite met that person yet. I've met people that are like, man, you know what? If you got a warm lead, like let me call that. But cold calling all day, that's not my bag, baby. See, there's another terrible impression. I get it. If that's you guys, like, I totally get it. Facebook user says, I hate cold calling. Man, I bet this is Jim. Is this Jim? Jim, is this you, bro? I bet it's Jim. So because of that, over my years of doing this, figuring these things out, failing, and then failing again. You guys know, I like to deem Chris and I the Thomas Edisons of real estate. We're not out here fabricating light bulbs, but I'll tell you guys what, I have figured out 1,000 ways to not get a deal. I have found 1,000 ways to not be intentional with my time. I have found 1,000 ways to do anything and everything other than the thing that I should be doing and focusing on. Because of that, I have found 1,000 ways. Like I found that one way to just go get a deal, to just go make it happen. I've been able to reverse engineer that. And Chris and I are going to be able to, or we're going to be putting together a challenge that's going to show you guys how you can do this. We're going to show you guys how you guys can purchase and own properties, and you never have to call a seller. You never have to negotiate. You don't have to know anything about creative financing. You don't have to overcome objections. You don't have to, nothing. You don't have to have money. You don't have to know any of these things. And this is something I've never heard anybody talk about. So I'm really, really excited to introduce this challenge to everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm super, super excited for it. This is going to be something that is in our private Facebook group. And here's why it's so important. It's not just one of those, oh man, I don't even know if I want to say that, because I can't prematurely get too deep into it. I'll say this. When you call a seller, you should be offering cash first. We always go cash first. When cash first doesn't work, then how do we solve that problem? Like creative, right? It's like, oh, okay, well, here's how I can pay you a much higher price. Maybe that would be a good fit for you. And for a lot of people, it is. And it's wonderful. And you can get into so many properties for little to no money down. Definitely none of your own money. But when people don't want to wait 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years for their money, there's another way that we're going to go about buying it. And this is the way that I want to share with everybody during this challenge. And I think it's going to help a lot of people, especially if you're looking to get that first deal. So this is something that is going to be done in our private community. If you guys want access, you guys can visit reivoltacademy.com. You guys can sign up there. We do a lot of really neat things in that community. So it's $47 a month, and just gosh dang, with their Zooms 5 days a week. Going about, we go over underwriting, we go about, lead generation and, mindset and coaching and self-development and paperwork, and you get tons and tons of perks. You get perks of working with Chris's TC company. Gosh, man, there's just so much that you get access to, and that is where we're going to be holding this challenge. If you guys want more information, go and check out reivoltacademy.com. That is where this is going to be happening. And we're going to be kicking this off here in about 10 days or so. So here towards the end of the month, we're going to be kicking this challenge off. And then the last thing that I've got for you guys, if you guys missed it, myself and Chris and one of my BFFs named Kevin, who is a personal friend, mentor, and coach of mine. We did a Zoom yesterday. We did a coaching Zoom yesterday, and it turned out fantastic. It was amazing. There was so much value. For those of you guys who were there, thank you. Thank you for being there. The amount of just love and praise that people got from just being there. I mean, there were really some really neat breakthroughs for everybody, including us, including myself and Kevin and Chris. And man, it was awesome. The energy was there. It was authentic. It was, I would dare say, I would even use the word courageous. It was amazing. And we thought, man, we should definitely continue doing something like this. So I think we're going to continue doing more and more of those things. In there, Mr. Ken Wilson, actually, Ken brought up, he's like, we're putting on a mastermind event in June. And this is going to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, what's cool about this mastermind, I've been to other events and meetups and masterminds before. And the struggle that I've had with some of those events is there's a lot of like rah-rah stuff. And it's all good and great and grand. But then, you between that and then you adding 100 names to your iPhone, everybody gets back home. And it's like, man, my business is still in the same position that it was. And then a month after the event, and then 2 months and 3 months after the event, it's like, I'm still spinning my wheels. I'm still trying to connect with everybody, but everybody's busy doing their own things. Like, why is my business not moving forward? And so with this mastermind, we designed it with that actually in mind. I said, hey, you know what? For most events or masterminds or whatever, a lot of the value is in the networking that gets done there. You get a lot of really, high energetic rah-rah stuff during the event, but the value for a lot of people is in the networking. Well, if you don't know how to network with intention, or if you don't even have clarity on what it is that you're doing, then it's hard to make sure and ensure, to guarantee, I'll even use the word guarantee, that your business is going to be better off leaving that event. And so this mastermind that we're putting on in June is the first ever mastermind that I've put on, and I've put thought into all of this. I want to put an event on that guarantees, I'm talking about that guarantee in a second, but this event is so in-depth. The workshops, the things that you guys are going to be going through during this event, that alone is going to change your business. I mean, I will personally, myself and the other individuals that I'm putting this on with, and one of them is here today with me, we will stay up till midnight with you if we need to. We will stay up all night with you if we need to. And then it's a 3-day event, and then we'll do the event the next day. I am putting a personal guarantee on this event that if you come to this mastermind in Vegas, it's a 3-day mastermind, June 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. If you get the VIP, pass, then you'll come in a day earlier. I have a personal guarantee on this event I was almost going to say theoretically, but not even theoretically. Let's say, well, I guess theoretically, if you came to this event and theoretically you did not talk to one person, you did not make one connection, it would still be impossible for your business to not be in a more elevated position. If you come to this event in Vegas, guys, and your business, you don't feel like the value that you got coming to this 3-day event was worth the price that you paid for, which is $697, less than $700 for a 3-day event in Vegas. If you don't feel like the value that you got during those 3 days was worth your price of $697, I will personally bring my checkbook and I will cut you a check and I will refund you right then and there, no questions asked. That's how much of a guarantee I'm putting on this event. If every single person wanted a refund, I would lose thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I want you guys to realize I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I will literally guarantee that your business will be better off by coming to this event. And the networking that you guys do is just the cherry on top. That's what really just catapults the entire event. If you guys want more information on that mastermind, this is one that you're not going to want to miss. I have never heard of anybody putting on an event with this kind of guarantee. It is going to be small. It is going to be intimate. It is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have workshops. We're going to be right there with you in the trenches. If you guys want some more information, I saw, Ken said, yep, Ken signed up. Thank you, Freddie. Thank you for being here, bro. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for being here. If anybody wants more information about this event, please reach out. Happy to help any way that I can. Now, without further ado, I've got some BFFs, and we're going to get a little weird today, guys. And by weird, I mean we're going to keep our shirts on. Hold on, we're not going to get super weird with it. Coincidentally enough, I was talking with a BFF of mine. His name is Nathaniel, and he and I were texting back and forth this morning about getting some ice cream, and then the text kind of got weird. Probably weird for most people, not for me. And we were talking about eating ice cream. We're like, well, we can only eat ice cream with our shirts off. But you know what? Coincidentally enough, not to detour here too much, but for anybody that's looking to lose weight, the best diet that I have found is to eat in front of a mirror naked. Best diet ever. There's Jesse's tips for you. You're welcome. But without further ado, let's bring on our guest today. Let's get weird. Let's talk some woo-woo stuff. Guys, please welcome Shane Evans and Jimothy Zeger. What up, dog?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Where are you at?
I am in a really awesome little, not convenience store, but a little town grocery store. That's like more of like a provisions type store, and it's in the middle of this really cool town called Grafton, Vermont, and we're just hanging out, drinking some coffee.
Hey, Grafton. What's the population of this place, man?
Oh man, 30. No, maybe 300. I don't know.
It's like Alaska. About 30 people here.
It's where they filmed all the Clydesdales commercials with all those big, beautiful horses for Budweiser.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
What? No way. Okay.
Like that backdrop, yeah. So, I just looked it up. 679 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so people go to the grocery store and hang out at the grocery store to get coffee.
Yeah, it's a big touristy place. There's a lot of history here and all this other stuff. So a lot of people come here. There's a couple really cool inns and things like that.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Well, the more you know. I guess when I come to Vermont and play farm ball, is that what it was called, right?
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's coming up soon. It's about to happen. I was just talking to someone.
When is it?
Ready. Sundays. It's probably going to start in May or early May, most likely.
Here in just a few weeks?
I think so, usually.
Do you guys play all summer long?
All summer. So we play in this farm. It's called Woods Cider Mill, and they make Woods boiled cider and a bunch of maple syrup, things like that. They have an affiliate with King Arthur flour, if you know that brand. But essentially, they make all this awesome product. And on this farm, there's this guy named Willis. He's the owner with his wife Tina. And
Willis. I know Willis.
You know Willis? Yeah.
I know Willis.
They've been doing this for 32 years or something like that.
Uh-huh.
And essentially, the first year I was there, I was like, oh, so when do we play till? It was middle of October. The weather was great. Everything was and being a seasonal person, that, when the apples are in season, that's when they actually make cider. When the maple trees are running, that's when they make maple syrup. And so I was like, when do we end? And he's like, until we don't. And I thought that was the best answer I've ever heard in my life.
What a boss answer, bro.
Right? I thought it was great. I was like, man, to have that kind of lifestyle, it's we do it until we don't. We play until we don't. People don't show up, we don't play. Yeah, it was just really cool.
Dude, that's dope. I'm going to write that down, man. I come across little things like that. I found I come across little things like that during my life, just with conversations and just networking, or you're in a room and hear a little thing like that, dude. And it's wow, there is so much here in just that little thing. We just do it until we don't. Damn, dude. I'm actually going to write that down, man. That's terrific.
It's a really good one. I mean, it's such
I like that.
A way of life, to be able to say that, right?
We do it. gonna make a post about that, man. Like, it's got my mind. Like, speaking of woo woo,
Yeah.
we do it until we don't.
I just had to
love
write
that.
that down myself.
Yeah, dude,
A little
that's
bit better
great,
than
man.
mine.
What's yours?
Ain't nothing to it but to do it. I actually just said it recently.
Ain't nothing to it till we do it. I like it.
Love that, dude. Well, James, I noticed you got a little bit more of a name change here. Are we doing like an identity shift here? Are you going to come? I was expecting, as soon as I saw the name, I was like, man, James is probably shaved under that beanie.
No,
And,
not yet. The hair's still there. No, I'm trying to get my social media presence up a little bit, and I realized with the last couple podcasts,
Yep.
people are going to go try to search Jimmy Neutron, and they're going to get a completely different person.
What do you think of Jimothy?
I haven't put any
Jimbo!
thought into that one.
Jimothy. I don't know any Jimothys.
Jimbo's a nickname I have within the family.
Is it really?
Yeah, Jimbo. I have my great grandfather used to call me Jimmy John. That was one I've never told anybody before. So, all you lucky audience that's in here today.
Dude, I love that, bro. I love nicknames, man. I give everybody a nickname, and that's something I feel like I'm really good at
Except
doing
Shane.
nicknames.
Shane never gets a nickname. Except me, I never get a nickname. It's never happened in my life. They tried Sugar Shane, and that was about it. That's all I got.
Sugar Shane.
That's the only one that I ever had.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
Haley says mom calls him Jimbo.
Jimbo.
Dude, my daughter has gone through iterations. My daughter's name is Palmer, my 2-year-old. Her name is Palmer. She's going to be 3 here next week. And it was Palmer, and then it was Pom Pom. And then there's a book called The Pout Pout Fish with the Pout Pout Face. You guys know that book? It's a children's book. It's called The Pout Pout Fish with the Pout Pout Face. And so my daughter always has a pout face, and so we started calling her the Pom Pom Fish with the Pom Pom Face. And then it went from Pom Pom to Pom Pom Fish, and then just Fish, and then Fishy Foo. And then now I just call her Foo Fighter. Because I like music and I like the Foo Fighters and I like Dave Grohl. And so literally I call her, I'm like, hey, Foo Fighter, let's go pick up the kid. She's like, okay. So we've gone through a lot of iterations. But Shane, we'll think of something for you.
Hey, I'm good with Shane. I like it. I'm happy. We're good. I mean, if you want to come up with something, that's great. I'm all for it. But
I'm good with Shane, man. The nickname is Shane.
that's it. You don't need anything else.
I love it, dude. Well, thank you guys for jumping on, man. Anytime the three of us get together, like the conversations that we have is amazing. And one thing that we don't do on this podcast very often is get woo-woo. And I thought, man, Chris is out here living the life. He's out here doing the things. He's getting some sun. If I'm going to be locked in here a little bit by myself, let's get a little weird. Let's get a little woo-woo here. Ooh. Sonja says Shane the Brain. That could be taken either way. That could go either way here, man.
Yeah, that can go lots of different ways. So.
Yeah. We're gonna get weird today, guys.
Yeah.
Kids, this is no longer. The kids leave the room now for this part of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that weird with you, Jesse. Not yet. We have to meet in person first, at least. Vegas is a different story.
We'll just make sure if Jimmy Ziegler, if Jimothy here is going to share his screen, make sure he's got his his OnlyFans tabs closed and.
Oh yeah,
all that
I have
kind
to
of
minimize all my browser windows before I share screens.
Oh,
Yeah, no, you got it, bro. You got it.
Haley's like hitting buttons behind you, making sure it's happening. We know.
I handed her my wireless keyboard to take into the room with her before we jumped on.
I love it, guys. Well, I kind of wanted to kick this off a little bit and kind of talk about. I was listening to. Are you guys familiar with the book The Secret? It also was a video that came out probably circa 2007, somewhere in there. The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. You guys ever see that video? It was on Netflix for a while too, actually.
I have not. I actually was going to watch it the other night. I was thinking about it. I was like, I should watch this, and I didn't get to it yet. But I'm gonna. I hear it's good.
Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic, bro. It is fantastic. The Z guy is the Z dog.
I have not.
You haven't seen it or
That's
read
you.
it either?
That's you,
No, but
James.
this is the second time I've heard of it today, so I think I'm gonna have to. I think it's
Gosh.
the next one.
James, you're the Z guy.
The Z guy.
Giselle says, I've heard of the book and the movie. Guys, you have to watch these things. Okay. In the book, The Secret, it talks all about like manifestation, the law of attraction. It is really great for anybody that is just kind of diving into those things. It sounds woo woo. It sounds like, and that's what I mean when I say woo woo. By the way, a lot of people, when you start talking about like manifesting, vision boards, vibrations, frequencies, for some people it's like, oh, this is a little much to handle. I don't know if you know what I mean? Like, we're dipping into some weird things here, but I love it. It has completely changed my life. I've seen so many, and as a Christian, you know, I see so many parallels between a lot of the things explained, like the law of attraction. It is, dude. It's a law, just like the law of gravity. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it's happening. And everything about the way that we understand the law of attraction is, from what I can tell and from the research and my own experiences, is pretty irrefutable. I haven't found anything to say it. There's so many parallels between that and a lot of the stuff you know, that Christians believe, and you know, just and whether you're Christian or not is irrelevant here. But I'm just trying to draw from my own experiences. For there anybody else that's like, I'm Christian, but like this is a little bit woo woo. Like, you see it contradictory. I see them complementing everything, and it explains so much. And you know, what are your guys' experiences with it? And I want to kind of talk about something that I was listening to. There's multiple books that the author of The Secret, Rhonda Byrne, has written. There's like a series, kind of like Harry Potter, but there's one that's called The Power. And out of the series, The Power is my all-time favorite one. It is phenomenal. It is such an amazing book. And I was listening to that this morning. But before I kind of share a little bit about that, I want to hear from you guys. Like, what is your experience with some of this woo-woo stuff, with vibrations and frequencies, and your understanding and experiences of the law of attraction?
Jimmy, you want to go first?
I was gonna say, shit. I could talk about this for days.
Same.
This has been something that has been a crucial part of my journey, more so over the last 9 months. I truly believe that some of those things are the reason that I'm sitting in this room today. If I'm being, 100% transparent, it's we talk a lot about mindset itself and the power of mindset, but I don't think that whole side of it's talked about enough.
What do you mean? How's it changed for you? What have you seen? What has it literally done? Like, let's get specific here.
Oh, we can go real deep. I can go a little bit more into specific. I know because there's many different avenues. I'll keep it G-rated. Don't worry. There's many different avenues that go into it, and it depends on your thoughts of those frequencies and vibrations. I know there's a lot of people that don't believe in astrology in itself, but one of the biggest factors in a lot of change in my life lately has been within the human design. So my wife Haley's very big into it. She's been into it for a very long time, and she's getting more and more in depth with it. But I always looked at it as like, oh, that to me it was taboo. It was like, I don't know how I feel about it. But the more that we've been diving deep into it and getting in tune with your human design, like some of those things are me. My human design is I need to put myself out there a little bit more. I need to make statements rather than asking questions, and a couple of things that go along with that. And since I've been doing that, it's the things that I'm doing in life are unparalleled.
Interesting. Making statements instead of asking questions.
Yes.
Give me an
As
example.
part-
Give me an example
as-
here. I want you to get as just clear of an example as you can, so anybody else, because like Sean, I appreciate Sean in the comments. Sean is there. Like that's why I wanted to bring, regardless of anybody else is Christian or not. I'm not saying there's any kind of a correlation. Like, I think they complement each other, but I wanted to give a specific example so people didn't feel like they had to choose between one or the other. The way that I see it and my beliefs, I think they align. And Sean said down here, he said there's probably something to the psychology of it, but attributing it to the universe, etc., I think is too much. Just my opinion. You know, everybody. I'm not here to take away from anybody else's beliefs. I think that's why this is kind of sometimes an interesting conversation for people. But I don't talk about it in terms of like the universe. Like this is God's law, the way I see it.
Yeah.
But I wanted to throw like that specific out there so people like Sean can hear that and be like, oh yeah, that's me. I resonate with that. That's actually where I'm at. So like give me some specifics. Like what do you mean? Like turning it from a question into a statement.
No, absolutely. It's all honestly, me personally, I feel like it's all in your interpretation of it, because it does come in many forms. The biggest example is, and we've talked about this before, and I tell this story quite a bit, is the very first time that I ever spoke to you and Chris when we jumped on a Zoom. It was that conversation in and of itself was, I know it was pretty awkward for me. I'm pretty sure it was definitely awkward for the two of you, especially talking with another mutual friend of ours afterwards, another James. In that Zoom, when I reached out, when we were talking during that conversation, I was more so asking you guys like, hey, what can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I help in your business? Because me helping you is helping myself. And when we fast forwarded, probably about 3 months after that, you and I had another conversation. And instead of asking, like I didn't ask where I could fit with the skills that I had. I more or less told you like, hey, this is what I can do. This is where you want to go, and this is how we can get there. So I turned the question into a statement, and we moved forward from there. And then same thing in real estate. Rather than asking how can I fit, how can I help, it was, all right, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm doing. I made the statement like, we're going to do this. We're going to be taking down deals, and this is what I'm doing to get us there. And it wasn't how can I get us there?
Interesting. I love that, bro. I love that. And how have you noticed that same line of thinking continue to iterate as you've progressed since then?
The caliber of the conversations that you have are completely different. And we
How
can,
so?
we can transfer that even more into being intentional. And I think to truly be intentional, we should be working on things like that within ourselves, whether it's taboo for some or not. But even following my design as making the statement instead of asking the questions, I recently went to the Aspire event, and I noticed a lot of different people got a lot of different things out of that event.
Mm-hmm.
I went, I got my ticket for free. I got it from a code from somebody else. I went for free. I noticed there were a lot of people that also paid thousands to be there. I didn't go completely free. I paid for hotel, I paid for travel and all of that. But that was one of those situations where a lot of those people that paid all that money to sit in that room, where I overheard some of the conversations, and they're asking other individuals how they can fit in, either how that individual can fit into their business and what their goals are, or how they can align with that other person. I decided at that point I didn't really want to sit in that same social group that I was sitting in, and I went after those people that paid $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for the tickets, and they weren't even sitting in there listening to the people on stage. They were outside having conversations, and I listened in for a little bit, and I didn't hear a single question in those conversations. And then it started with, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm working on. And that just kind of attracted the same atmosphere. with those other people that were actually standing outside, and then they started voicing what they were working on, and we just continued that conversation from there. And now I have connections and contacts in 3 different spaces that are beneficial no matter what type of business I want to do. It's just a complete different caliber of conversation.
Dude, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Can I piggyback on that for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
What you just described is something that is so important. Everybody hears it, but I think very few people are doing it. Everybody knows that you become the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. It's one of those things where you hear it all the time. You can't get away from it. It's almost like a song. Like you walk it, whether you're walking into JCPenney's or Macy's or Walmart or wherever, like everybody has heard like this particular 80s song. You know what I mean? It's like Rick Astley, man. Like, never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down. Like everybody, whether you've gone out of your way to go find that song or not, everybody knows that damn song because it's just one of those things. This concept that you just got done talking about, Jimothy, is the same thing. Everybody hears you become the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with, but nobody ever goes out of their way to actually do something about it, to be cognizant of it. Everybody hears it, they acknowledge it, and they literally do nothing. I don't know if you guys can you guys see this emblem in the top right-hand corner? Can you guys see this logo? Do you see it, Jim? Of the screen?
I can.
What does it say?
Third Mind REI.
Third Mind REI. Maybe I can change it like here. There you go. Now you can see it better. You guys know where that name came from? Our business name is Third Mind REI, James and I. It came from exactly what James is talking about. When you hang around 5 idiots, you become the 6th. When you hang around 5 confident people, you become the 6th. When you hang around 5 millionaires, you become the 6th. If you want to learn to play guitar, are you going to go surround yourself with people that are also learning guitar? At first, that sounds like a logical idea, right? It's like, oh, well, they're learning guitar, I'm learning guitar, we'll learn guitar together, and we'll kind of hold each other accountable, we'll practice together. But if they're not out practicing and elevating their skills on their off time, then you both are just remaining, you're all remaining stagnant. You're all doing nothing. How fast would your skills change if you went and hung out with 5 other people that were learning guitar together versus 5 other people that are like Eddie Van Halen? Like, what if you had like 5 Eddie Van Halens that you could just go hang out with? Like, how different would your skills be in 30 days? Everybody knows this, but nobody does it. Nobody's going to do it. Everybody knows this, but nobody's going to do it. This is the fastest way to change your environment. This is the fastest way to change your financial circumstances. The reason that our business name is called Third Mind REI, it's off of a Napoleon Hill concept called the mastermind principle. Now, I'm going to read this to you guys because this mastermind principle is exactly what we're doing here today on this podcast. Let me read this to you guys for those of you guys who need a refresher. The mastermind principle is the coordination of knowledge and effort between 2 or more people who work towards a definite purpose in a spirit of harmony. No 2 minds ever come together without thereby creating a third invisible, intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. In order to have a business, in order to make money, you have to have leverage in your business. Two of my favorite ways of creating leverage is cash and collaboration. If I had to pick one over the other, collaboration is my most favorite way. It's something that I'm really, 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 really good at. But you don't collaborate with just anybody and everybody. You have to have clarity on what it is you're even trying to do, why you're trying to do it, and then finding 4 or 5 other people that are doing what it is that you want to be doing. Shane and I had a mutual friend last night shoot us a video. And this friend is wonderful. She's such a beautiful soul, a beautiful and wonderful person inside and out. She is full of love and abundance and integrity. She's a person of character. And she messaged Shane and I last night, and she was like, guys, I just raised nearly $10 million in one day. And it was the neatest thing for Shane and I to be able to be part of that experience with her virtually.
It was amazing.
It was neat to see it. Shane, tell me, dude, what are your thoughts right now, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been going back and forth with her for, a little while this morning and throughout the day. And it's just to see, so this person has gone to other events and they're part of some type of, they're launching a fund and they're part of this organization. And, they're a phenomenal person in raising money in our community and what we're doing. And, they went to this community where they help you build a fund. And, she paid quite a bit of money to get in there. And the people running it is like, oh, well, that's not good enough. Like, you can't just talk to these people about, about everyday things. Like, you have to have a really clean pitch deck. You have to have this, that, the other thing. And I'm like, and I'm listening to this person, like, tell us the story. This is a month or two ago when they were at some other event. They're trying to get their fund up and running. And I'm listening. And she's like, I don't understand. Like, I'm really good at making connections and building relationships and doing things with people, right? And maintaining those relationships. And the last event she went to literally spent the entire day with one of the keynote speakers prior to finding out that they were the keynote speaker on the last day, and spent 2 days with this person who was the administrator of some fund, was like the person who gives everyone else guidance on how to do their stuff at their funds for like the big people. Like, we're talking about Wells Fargo, we're talking about all these big organizations. And he's a retired person that she spent the entire 2 days with him prior to knowing that, and it was just amazing to see what she was able to do just by being her and being the person that she is, and knowing that. And then she told us last night that she raised the same exact way, just talking to people, getting to know them, really truly being part of that conversation, and just being herself. And that was the amazing part about that whole thing. And it's just really great to see her thrive and really push herself and get into the right rooms and do the big things that she's destined to do, because she's putting herself out there. I mean, she goes to events all the time, all day, every day. She's on social media. And like, I want to also kind of preface, I got a couple things I want to talk on with, the woo-woo as well.
Yeah.
But, we talk about the manifesting, we talk about all of this higher level stuff. There is no magical, I'm just going to manifest and think about it without taking action, right? There has to be two things. Like, I think a lot of people, when they hear that, like, oh, it just doesn't come out of thin air. Well, yeah, you're right. It doesn't. Things have to happen. You have to do things in order for those things to happen, right? You have to build that consistency and do them. And, I talk to my therapist on a weekly basis, and I bring up, like, meditation, this, that, the other thing. And he's like, all right, well, how are you going to get there? I'm like, exactly. That's the next thing. Like, what am I going to do to get there? Right? Like, I can't just imagine like money's just going to drop out of the sky. It's not going to happen. But when you build out your social media, you build out your message or your brand or whatever you're doing, like James was talking about before, you're creating that manifesting, because that's where you want to be. That's where you're trying to get to. I've been doing this for we've been doing network to net worth, and we've been doing some other things for like 9 months or so. And, all the pieces are falling into place, right? That's when it's going to happen, right? You think about, I don't know his name, but Mr. Beast, right? He didn't get more than 100 likes for over a year before it actually happened. And then it just blew up, right? But you have to do the consistent thing over and over and over again to get to where you need to be. I know myself, I want it to just happen, but I look back at what I've done, what I did 3 months ago compared to what I'm doing now. I'm like, I need to flip a valve and go back and do some more of the stuff that was getting me to where I want to be. And it's just really amazing to see someone like Amber doing what they're doing and pushing for what they're doing, and other people, in our networks, like, it's just really cool to see that happen. So, I'm just so pumped for everyone who's just putting themselves out there.
Dude, likewise, brother. And it all comes back to this mastermind principle. It's such a big part of it, man, and being able to increase each other's frequencies and ideas, and it's just so interesting how it almost happens like magic, man.
Yeah. And you said something too there that when you unpack all of that, you touched on taking action. That's the key. That's the biggest thing. And one of the things that I've seen a lot in regards of taking action, and even people trying to understand things on that spiritual level, is in society today, we all think that we have to be perfect at what we're doing before we can put ourselves out there. There's a lot of people that go through how much schooling, how many videos do they watch, how many times you get stuck in analysis paralysis because you want to do something and you're like, I need to perfect this. Well, the bottom line, and I wish somebody told me this before, was if you don't start, you're never going to perfect it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I just sent Jesse a text before, like, about how I feel like I'm effing up, X, Y, and Z, and he's, and it's just interesting to see how much we judge ourselves in different ways, and think we have to do it right from the moment you start. You have to be doing it the exact way. You need to be thinking about being that person, but doing the things to get there, like, you're going to fumble through it. Like, it's just how it works, right? We talk about I was thinking the other day about driving a car, right? First time you're driving that car, you're white knuckling it. You're worried, the car's going like this and bucking around. You're, almost running people over because it's in a blind spot. You didn't know there was blind spots to worry about, like things like that.
Yep.
And now you're sitting there like, look on Instagram. There's just, your brain has morphed and learned how to do a thing, and then you're actually not aware of it anymore, and that's just as bad, right? Like, when you get to a point where it's on autopilot, and then you just let it be, and you decide that I'm not going to go ahead and focus on the thing and the skills that I should be focusing on, it will just maintain. It'll actually go down a little bit because you're not putting the work in to grow. And even if you're not putting the work in to grow, you're not putting the work in to maintain either. It's just like working out, right? If you don't continue to do the things that you've been doing, it's just not going to happen. And I was thinking about that the other day. I'm like, man, I wonder what it's going to be like teaching my daughter to drive, right? Like, the first few months, it's going to be like nerve-wracking for her, me too, I'm sure. But the moments of, like, as soon as you got it down, you're like, oh, okay, this isn't bad. But what habits have you picked up? What things have you done? And what I guess you can kind of think of it as, like, what are you manifesting in those moments, right? Do you want to be the best driver on the road, or the most aware driver, right? That's probably the better option, right? Or do you want to be you just want to get from A to B, right? There's levels of pushing yourself. There's levels of getting to where you want to be. And I think just that in and of itself is kind of a woo-woo thing, right? Like, the fact that we can completely drive, like, I could drive to work without even thinking. Back when I drove, 370 times in 2 years or whatever it took, I didn't have to think. I would, like, go somewhere else and I'd be at work. I'm like, why am I here? Because you're on autopilot. Your brain can do such high level stuff while you're thinking about so many other things. It just comes secondary. And I think that woo-woo mentality is also part of it. I think that's all in that same realm.
You know,
Absolutely.
it's really interesting, man, that David Goggins talks about this, dude, that most humans only meet 40% of their true potential. Think about that for a second. Think about the things that most people go through, the 99% go through. And in their head, what they're experiencing is the hardest thing in their entire life, and they're giving it their all. Wouldn't that just be wild to die, to meet, to be standing before God, have God introduce you to the person you could have become, and then understand after this experience has come and gone that the things that you experienced on earth, the things that you went through, the trials, the tribulations, the sickness, the servitude, the mindset, the money, everything that you went through on earth, what you thought you were giving 100% to was really only 40% of what you were capable of. Wouldn't that be a fucking trip?
Dude.
To die and then figure out like, oh my gosh, I left 60% of what I could have accomplished, and I'll never, like, even if you live to be 100 years old in the grand, I mean, I heard Gary Vee talk about this one time. He said, when you die, you're going to be dead for a very long time. Before you were born, you were also not born for a very, very long time. In this whole grand scheme of this entire thing, even if you live to be 100 years old, it is just a fucking millisecond in the entire grand scheme of things. And you will never have the ability to come back and be like, damn. Now think about that. Everybody who thought they were giving their 100% only gave their 40%. What about the people who never even thought, who never came to that recognition?
Yep.
What about the people who left at 20%, who died at 20% or 30%?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy that you brought that up too, because I've been talking to you lately a lot about Andrew Cordell, and he had a reference of his own that runs along the similar lines of that, and he said that and this is going to get morbid for a quick second, but if you go to a graveyard and you look at the headstones, you're going to see two dates. You're going to see the date that you're brought into this plane, and you're going to see the date that you're taken out. And in between those two dates is a little tiny dash. That little tiny dash represents your entire life. What is that little dash going to mean when it is permanently engraved on that stone?
Yeah, I mean, so you bring up the side of death, right? Like the morbid side. It's not, and my wife is a end of life doula, right? So she's all about helping people realize like what they want to leave on this earth is their legacy, right? At the end of your life, especially when you're sick or whatever else, like trying to figure out what you put it all together for, right? Why did I do all this? What did I do? And what connections and who did I connect to? And that's really, I think, the biggest one that really ties it all together. So, that dash is really about the lives you've impacted or didn't impact. And I think that's a really important thing for us all to realize. Like, yeah, it's a small little piece, but how long or how dense or how deep does that dash go into that, that gravestone or however you want to visualize that. And I think it's really important for us to realize that, like Jesse said, we're only here for a short period of time, but in the same moment, the amount of impact we can each make. And Jesse, you're right. Like, imagine if everyone did the best and greatest that they could at every moment. Like, imagine what our earth would be like, or our world would be like. Oh my God, like, just unreal.
100%, bro. Wow. And you have to acknowledge, dude. Like to your point, you have to know that no matter how good intentioned somebody is, most people aren't going to do that. They're just simply not going to take the action. So when you really realize and you get clarity on what it is you're trying to do, you got to be so protective of yourself, your mind, your thoughts, your time, and the individuals that you allow into, habitate your mind. This conversation reminds me of a book that I've read probably 5 times in the last 8 weeks. Shane, what book am I talking about, bro?
Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon
Hill. Yeah.
I just re-listened to it again. It blows my mind every time I listen to it. Like, and that book, it goes after some pretty big authorities, right? So it's a pretty interesting, it's all about that mindset and how you can restructure.
It is, man, and it talks about. James, have you read it?
I am in the beginning stages. I have a few other books that I've been reading, because I've had some stuff to go back through and go over for a couple
Skip
things.
them.
So.
Put this at the top.
100%.
No, absolutely.
100%.
I love what I've heard so far. There's actually discussions of it going on in the book club. So quite a few people that have read it, and just hearing what some people are talking about and their perspectives both before and after reading the book are insane.
Dude, it is. Yeah, that's the book that we're going through in book club right now, man. And it is probably the craziest book, dude, that I've ever read in my entire life. It is probably like my numero uno. Dude, it explains everything, man. It talks even just like as a Christian, like there's so much that it discusses, and how like how you have to have the good with the bad, and how Giselle says, which book? Giselle, it is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. This will probably be the craziest book you will ever read in your life. But it talks a lot about what we're talking about right now, and how your thoughts impact your man. I don't even have the vocabulary to articulate it the way that he does. That's why I've had to read it like 5 times. But this gentleman, and they don't know, Giselle, just to give you context, this book was written in 1938. The author died in 1970, and the book was never published until 2011. There are some crazy things in there. And, as the story goes, nobody knows if he actually interviewed the devil. That's what the book is him interviewing the devil. And get the audiobook. The audiobook is so good. The way that they did that, whoever they brought in to come in and play the devil, my goodness. Listening to that audiobook is better than any movie I have ever seen. It is so good. The information there is so good, but it explains about, it talks about the negative and the positive. It talks about the breakup of the atom, and how, that's what the devil inhabits. He's in every negative portion of everything in this earth. He is the like everything, like it goes in. It talks a lot about your thoughts, and how any negative thought is inhabited by the devil. According to him, he takes 2 out of every 100 people that die, because and he calls them drifters. They get into this line of thinking where they just drift. They're just drifting through life. They're not action takers. They're not surrounding themselves with the right people. They're not doing anything to increase the frequency and vibration of their thoughts to produce actionable results that'll actually make changes. You got majority of people that just drift through life. More people are more curious than they actually are committed to something.
Yeah, and to kind of clarify, Jesse, I think the 2%, right? The 2% are the non-drifters. They're the ones that are able to get out of that mode. I mean, think about Instagram. How many of you have sat there and watched videos for hours and done nothing but that, and just drifted through that? Like I did that the other day. Yeah, I do it.
Dude, when TikTok came out, I was done, bro.
Yeah, like I was doing it a little too often, and like it's interesting because like as you, the same thing with that, right? Like you think about how that's designed. It's literally designed to make you drift. Like it's designed with those thoughts in mind to pull you away from your focus and to make you look at other things. Like my Instagram and my Facebook used to be filled with mindset and this and that, and I liked one page one time that was something funny. And now I'm on these like tangents of like other random things. I'm like, how do I get rid of this? Like, how do I reverse that? Like, I got to figure out how to go through and delete things. But it's amazing how, you can drift so easily without, the sureness of direction and action, right? And making those steps towards what you want to do.
Even YouTube, it's it's crazy because I opened my YouTube the other day to make a playlist, actually, to share with you, Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed on my feed on YouTube, there's no music videos anymore at all. Like I sat there for a good 2 minutes scrolling as long as I can. There's no music videos. There's no rubbish, so they say. And there are speakers on there that I've never heard of or never seen before, but every single video when I scrolled down ran along the lines of mindset, the woo-woo stuff that we're talking about, individuals that put on masterminds themselves. That's all it is in my feed now. If you would have looked at my YouTube feed 9 months ago, it would have been nothing but ridiculous music videos or these prank fail videos and all of that stuff. But it's crazy to see the difference, and when you start applying yourself and what you actually do with your actions, and it goes across all of those platforms. It's not just you sit down with a notebook or you're reading a book. It's everything that you do and everything incorporated in your life. When you start making these small changes over time, they become abundant. They become a huge change in your entire life and everything that you do. It's crazy.
It is, man. Just like the algorithm works on social media, you kind of have an algorithm in your own life. There's a frequency that has to change. A lot of people don't realize this. You have 80 to 90,000 thoughts per day. Imagine that. Most people don't. Most people aren't even aware of this. You have 80, 90,000 thoughts every single day, and a lot of these thoughts are subconscious. Have you ever had a thought? Here's something. Let me share something with you guys. Have you ever had a thought that came to mind and maybe you felt guilty about it? Maybe for even thinking that thought, or thoughts that you weren't proud of. Like you have so many thoughts that are coming into your mind a day, and a lot of times you don't have control over it. It's like don't think of a purple elephant. It's like, oh fuck, man. Like how many people would die if that was the result of thinking of a purple elephant? If that was the ultimatum there. But what's important to acknowledge is that when you do have those thoughts, seemingly, if you it's easy to kind of get in your head and feel like you don't have control of them. And then you start feeling bad because you have them, or whatever thought that leads to. It's important to acknowledge that, one, those thoughts come in. And even if you don't have control over that initial thought, what you do have control over is the second thought. And that is extremely important. When you can acknowledge that, guys, and you have 80 to 90,000 thoughts coming through your head every single day, and they're just on repeat, if you want something you've never had, then you have to do something you've never done. How else can you do something that you have never done before, that you are so unfamiliar with? Unless you have access to more information, to different information. Where else are you going to get access to that different information unless you are not intentional with the people that you are surrounding yourself with? Being able to come in here and have these conversations and read books and take in information, that's how we start to alter those 80 to 90,000 thoughts. That's how we begin to change things. Now, I don't know what the ratio is between like positive and negative for those 80,000 thoughts, but they culminate to an average. And it gives you an average frequency. And whatever circumstances you're in right now, you're attracting those circumstances and frequencies into your life that are in line with how you're feeling. And not only material things, not only like wealth and money and things like that, but relationships, circumstances, even your health. And the Outwitting the Devil talks a lot about how he captures people because he can keep them poor and he can keep them sick. So if everybody's thinking that they're poor and they're sick, they'll just continue drifting. If they feel like they have no control and that's just it, they just drift and drift and drift and drift. They take no action. They serve no purpose. They are not winners. They are complainers. Being poor and broke is a fucking mindset, man. And the only way you can change those 80 to 90,000 thoughts and start tipping them 51% in the right direction is being around more abundant people, people that are on a higher frequency, people that are doing what you want to be doing, people that are authentic, people that are real, people that are loving, people that are supportive, people that have values. Sorry, Shane, I saw you come off mute, brother.
Oh, you're good. No, I just wanted to, like, you know, the thing I love about being around Jesse and James and everyone else is, you know, Jesse, you've been trained by the military on how to teach, right? And you train other teachers how to teach, right? So, like me as a teacher, when I used to teach all the things I taught, I never taught one thing the perfect way, the one way that, you know, over and over again. So I never mastered anything. And this mindset stuff, just like being around Jesse when he's in his meetings or his Growth Co. or these Zooms, like if you sit and listen, you will hear the same stories from Jesse. And, you know, from someone who's not looking at it from an abundance mindset, you're like, oh, here's that story again, right? But it's re-information. It's reassuring that this is the concept. You have to have repetition in your mindset. You have to know, like, you can get a million different new ideas from all these different influencers, and that's a good idea. Or like parenting tips, right? But like we all know that stuff. If you're a parent, like everyone gives you a different tip. It's like, oh, that could be cool to implement. But unless you're going to be consistent about things, like your child as they're growing up, like right now is their core memories, right? Between, 3 and 8. If you don't do consistent things over and over and over and over and over again, they're not going to remember all the great things you've done. I went to Disney once. I don't remember that, right? But I do remember going camping with my family to this one place called Stokes and to this cabin we used to have up in the woods. Every single month we went, at least once a month. And I remember that. I remember building the fires every single time. But it's the mindset of consistency and doing it over and really just moving it forward and moving it forward and moving it forward, and knowing that you're putting that into your brain. And we've all got, at our ages, right? Anyone over 8 years old, you have the choice of what to put into your head. And unless you decide to surround yourself with the right people and the right things and the right information, you're not going to know where to go. And we don't know what the right information is all the time either. So just remember that, like, you have to try, you have to see what's going to work for you. And, don't just flip from one thing to the other, because that's where you don't get to be the full person you can be.
Well said, man. Well said. I want to have you guys, in wrapping this up here real quick, I want you guys to share just one thing, just what is one key takeaway that everybody can implement into their life to start changing their frequency, the way that they think, the way that they take action and implement, the way that they serve, the way that they love. What is just one thing? I mean, think about it like this. Like, what's one piece of advice with all this woo-woo stuff? What's one piece of advice that you would have given yourself 4 years ago? when it comes to understanding a lot of this stuff that we're talking about with regard to mindset and goal setting and abundance, people, relationships. Let's start with you, James. What do you got, bro? What's one thing that you could take away, that you would have everybody take away? Say, start this today. Start this now.
I would say continuous learning, and implement it in every corner of your life. If I would have, there's three things that I wish that I would have started doing 2 years ago, and it was learning, unlearning, and then relearning.
Ooh. What do you mean by that?
Because take, for example, you get yourself into a program and there's just a wealth of knowledge. There's a ton of stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you start throwing yourself at all of it because you're looking at it from the base level. Now, you've learned that that's a thing. That's a possibility. But what are you going to do with that? You've got to break that down a little bit. You've got to be willing to understand that there really is more than one route. And I come from a culinary background, so in the kitchen, when you're looking for a cook,
Mm-hmm.
usually we look, especially on line level, we look for somebody. We would prefer somebody with next to no experience over somebody with full experience because they're mullible. The problem with chefs and cooks is they don't have the ability to unlearn something and relearn it another way. So if you take a cook from, let's say, Texas Roadhouse, who's been working there for 30 years, and they've learned the ropes and everything that they learned was at Texas Roadhouse, and you put them in a TGI Fridays, you're not going to get the same result from that cook as you would somebody fresh off the boat. You have to treat everything that you're doing that same exact way. Look at it from the different perspective. Unpack it. I do this thing called lateral research. When I'm looking stuff up, and you've seen when I've shared my screen, I have 4 or 5 different windows with about 30 tabs in each. And I dedicate some of those windows for specific things. But when I'm looking into something or I'm trying to grasp a better understanding of something, I have multiple tabs open and I'm looking at it from different sources. I never used to do that. It was somebody said that you can do this, so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to follow exactly what they said. You have to be willing to learn, but you also have to be willing to unlearn what you were initially taught and relearn at another caliber.
Wow, dude. Phenomenal advice. Dude, I had goosebumps, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm just going to really quick tie that to, I'm listening to Atomic Habits right now. And, the exact mindset of that, right? You do all these little things. If you have all these habits already, you have to stack them and break them, morph them and things like that. You can't get to the end goal without unlearning certain other things. And that's a really great way to think of it, James. Yeah, that's amazing. I think I loved how you immediately went into like engineer brain, right? Like on how what you wanted to do years ago, right? So for me, I think my brain has always worked like that, where I've got a million different things happening, but the assessment train never really happened. And that's a whole different topic. But the thing I would say a few years ago would be being vulnerable, and being vulnerable with yourself and with other people, and knowing that you going into, elevating yourself to a higher level group, right? Like Jesse talked about, surrounding yourself with people who are millionaires or whatever, they were at your spot at one point too. So like going in there and, James, you mentioned like wanting to work with Jesse and Chris, and you were like, oh, what can I do for you, right? Versus this is what I'm capable of. I've looked internally. This is what I'm capable of. This is how I think I can help you. Also, how can you help me? And these are the things I need help with. Or just being a human, right? Like being able to portray who you are in a way that's not fake, that you're not pretending, you're not trying to like I can never start singing on screen like Jesse does. It's just not who I am. Jesse's a musician. He wants to. That's what he loves doing. He knows all the music. I don't know. Like I'm listening to Bob Marley in the background. I am surprised I knew who that was right now. I'm at a coffee shop. But for me, I know that if I were to be more vulnerable with myself and with my family and my friends and the people in my circles, I would have been closer to where I am now. A lot sooner. And I think that's, until you can find that voice and find that courage to do that, I think you're just holding yourself back a lot.
Yeah.
Dude, that is golden right there, man.
Dude, Shane, you are a huge example of something like that in my life, by the way.
Thank you, brother.
We've had our conversations. I referred you to a book. And the funny thing is I didn't put 2 and 2 together at first. It wasn't until Haley mentioned something, and I was like, oh, that's right. I had you read a book, told you this might be something good for what you have going on. And a couple weeks later, I got a surprise package in the mail, and I opened it up, and it's a bluefish magnet from Hawaii with a note. And I'm like, something that I said to somebody and some advice that I gave to somebody stuck to that point. And it changes the perspective of who you have in your circle.
And the impact other people have on other people. I think that's the biggest key. I have a video I got to put up soon, but like the impact you have on others, like being active in your groups and your communities and things like that, people look up to you in ways that you don't even know. Right. And, the reason why it triggered for me today was because my daughter asked about the mud pit that we had. Someone got stuck in the mud at our house, and she's on vacation with my wife in Tennessee right now, and she wanted to know about the mud. And so I was like, all right, well, I can text back and say the mud's here or it's not here, or I can send a video of me talking about the mud and saying it's good, it's drying up, we're going to be fine. My daughter watched that video 4 times in a row, again, because I have an impact on her in a way that is very like, she knows I'm talking to her. Same thing with what we're doing here. We're talking to all of you. We're sharing ourselves, and we're sharing who we are, and we don't know how we're impacting you. We have no clue. I know that Jesse has impacted me in certain ways that I can't even put into words because it's changed who I am in the past 8 or 9 months, and it's hard to say that to someone, to let them understand. But also knowing, I know Jesse is just super humble. He's just like, I'm just grateful to be able to do this. And same here. I'm grateful to be here and to be on this stage and to just be in front of people and impact them in ways I don't know I'm impacting.
The cool thing about this is it's nobody else watching this or anybody else watching this in the future. Like nobody else realizes this, but you guys, everything that we've been talking about today is what we're doing right here live. I'm better off. You two make me a better person. You two serve me in ways that, to Shane's point, like it's so hard to put into words the impact that it has, and we all realize that we can't do this alone. And it's no fun to do it alone, dude. It's no fun to come in and do a podcast by yourself, It's funner to come in and do it, with people. And I'm thankful Chris and I get to do that every day. And I hope he's having a killer day today. And I'm grateful that you guys were able to jump in and that we were able to have this conversation, man. Because this is a conversation that, I don't know a lot of people talk about, and it's a conversation that needs to be had. For those of you guys that stayed with us today, I mean, we're well over an hour. We're almost going on an hour and a half. Has this been helpful for you guys? I know it's been helpful for me, and you guys are literally witnessing us just having like a exercising this mastermind principle that Napoleon Hill talks about, but we just did it live in front of everybody. And we all grew from this, and I hope that everybody that stayed with us today. Mark, I see you in the comments, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you for being here. Terry, thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you for tuning in, man. All you guys, Sean, Giselle, thank you guys. Thank you. We absolutely love this. Thank you guys for being here with us. This is awesome. This is what it's all about. Don, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you. We all do. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for being here. I love you both. You guys are my brothers. There is nothing in the world that I would not do for either one of you guys or your families. I want you guys to know that. I truly and sincerely mean that. I love you guys. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for being who you are and jumping in here and masterminding with me, man. I love and I cherish any opportunity that the three of us get to come in here and do stuff like this. It truly means the world to me, and it impacts me greatly. So thank you guys. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for spending some of you guys' Saturday with us.
Thank you.
Most welcome. Absolutely. Well, for those of you guys that are watching that are in sub 2, I've got something juicy that I'm going to be bringing to you guys. I do a Zoom in sub 2 every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I'll see you guys in about an hour and 9 minutes. I will see you guys over there. It is on the schedule, the Zoom calendar schedule within sub 2. So make sure you guys go on over there. We're going to be doing, yes, you could call it a workshop. So I'm pretty excited for it. So we'll see you guys over there. Shane and Jimothy, thank you guys. I love you guys. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Have an awesome rest of your weekend. I'll chat with you guys soon.
Absolutely. Love you guys. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you. Love you all.
Absolutely, brother. Yep.
Thanks for listening to the House of Cards podcast with Chris James and Jesse Stanton. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and have learned something new about real estate investing. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more tips and tricks. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Until next time.